Every other country celebrates their victories. It's about time America did too. And watching this magnificent display, our souls are filled with gratitude for every generation of warriors who have worn the uniform all the way back to the very beginning. So to every veteran across our land, and right here in our nation's capital, including 6 recipients of the Congressional Medal of Honor, we love you, we honor you, and we salute your noble service to our flag and to our country.
President Trump at Saturday's military parade in Washington celebrating the Army's 250th birthday, acknowledging our veterans for their service in keeping America free and strong. Joining me now is Veterans Affairs Secretary Doug Collins. Mr. Secretary, welcome. Great to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Thank you so much for being here. And you were at the parade, obviously.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Oh, it was great. I mean, it's just one of those things in the crowds. I mean, it was massive crowds, coming down from the Washington Monument. And when the president came out and then when the troops were coming out, you were hearing say USA, USA. It was just one of those things that make you feel good about where we live. Too many times in this country, we've seemed to make it an art form of criticizing where we are. And instead of taking back and saying, we live in the greatest country in the world. We're the best light of the world. And, sometimes, like the president said, let's take a few minutes and just say, hey, we are Americans, and we do have a lot to be proud of.
Well, it's also really nice to see the patriotism out there, right? I mean, when I was watching it, I was thinking, wow, look at all these patriots, and you felt proud for your country, don't you think?
Absolutely. And I was also thinking in the context of this international moment, it's very fraught. It was probably important that we were displaying our military prowess in the streets. And there's a lot of pride attached to that, to honor our service members. My father was a captain in Vietnam. I know if he were here today, he would love that parade because it's about honoring their sacrifice and their commitment every single day to this country. And it's a very small percentage of folks who serve. So I think it was fantastic.
By the way, the Army did such an incredible job for my dad when he passed. I mean, the ceremony that they do in the military is just, I was so grateful. And we all are grateful for the Army and all around military life.
It is one of the most moving ceremonies that can be done when the military at a funeral, because we should honor our veterans. It is so powerful. And this was the 250th anniversary of the Army, and they're criticizing, celebrating. What an accomplishment. It was magnificent. So.
Yeah, and I want to get to that criticism because, well, one of the core missions of the VAs is to end veteran homelessness. Yes. Tell us where you are in your missions. The Los Angeles Veterans Affairs healthcare system housed over 1,800 vets just last year, Secretary. This is one of the things on your list. Tell us about your progress so far.
So far, we're working. It's great to have the president, on board as well. We have a really large campus in L.A. It's in the West L.A. area, which is 300-something acres. It was supposed to be used all in perpetuity for veterans. It's gotten out of its purpose in the last number of years, especially starting under the Obama administration. It just sort of lost it. We've actually leased out part of it. There's a lot of issues here fighting about it, of what we can actually do. But here's the bottom line. I'm taking the Veterans Affairs Department back to what we should be doing. That's VA. We're going to be VA for veterans. And we're an service organization that's going to help them. So we're actually trying to make more arrangements. The President signed an executive order that we're going to have a center of excellence there so we can not only house veterans, but also get them the help they need to get back transitioned into the communities where they need to be being absolutely productive. The other is suicide. And death by suicide is way too prevalent among veterans, 17 to 22, depending on where you look at it. I'm trying to break every mold I can now to go after those veterans that we're not reaching. I've got a department that unfortunately many times still thinks in an older setting. And sometimes it's just, as I say, it's just common sense. Why aren't we just doing the very things we know to do instead of being a bureaucratic organization? So for us, the homeless situation, the death by suicide situation are my top priorities, because if we can help those veterans, then we can, again, be helping all of our veterans as we go forward. So, and as a point just made just a minute ago, the whole 20-year Iraq-Afghanistan was less than 1% of our population actually served in country in those battles. So think about that. So we think about it, but we don't think about the real implications of those folks, coming home, because there's not as much of a connection as there was, say, to a Vietnam or to a World War II or even a Korea. Our veterans today are on multiple deployments, multiple times, and they need that to know that the VA is there for them. And also the VA is also willing to get them help in the community, which the previous administration had just almost done away with the Mission Act. We're not doing that anymore.
Which is why I love to see corporate America and step up, as many companies have, to say, we have a role for you. We want to actually hire veterans.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's been part of it. Hiring veterans. Another part is all the foundations that have come up to deal with suicide. I'm curious, Mr. Secretary. we used to know you when you were Doug, and now you're Mr. Secretary.
I'm still Doug. For Maria, I am Doug. I'm right here. I come to see Miss Maria.
How is it that you prioritize all these different issues? What's the process of taking something as big as the VA and saying, this is a priority, this is a priority, and now here's how we're going to attack it? How do you go about that?
It's fascinating to see because we have one of the least political, as far as appointments, I have from the fewest of political appointees that I can bring in of any organization, but yet I'm 470,000 people. We're bigger than the active duty Army. We're the largest in it. And so what we've had to do is sort of break it up and to say, okay, let's see what is our primary focus. So the first focus was, are we doing it for veterans? Is anything that we're doing, is it focused toward veterans? So we've started going by regulation instead of, just saying we can't do that. You'd be surprised how many times, well, we've never done it that way before. Well, they forget I'm an old Baptist preacher. I've heard that before. So we just we don't do that. So it's just taking time to start moving our own bureaucratic processes out of the way to make it easier for the veteran.
And in the meantime, in the middle of all of this, you also have to fight fake news, right? I mean, you had lots of stories from the mainstream media critical of the VAs. You've been forced to debunk. The Guardian recently accused the VA of a rule change that would allow doctors to refuse treatment for Democrats or unmarried veterans. What?
This is nothing but an unfiltered lie. Period. End of statement, end of story. The Guardian should take this down. It is shameful what they have done right there. And what's even worse is I've had senators actually retweet this. They should be ashamed of what they're doing. There's nothing. Then we have debunked it. We've debunked it. There's nothing happening here. But I guess when you have some Democratic senators or some of our unions and some of our media who don't like to help veterans in the way they want to see it happen, they just lie about us. I've spent most of my time in 120-something days I've been on the job, easily over half is fighting the rumor and innuendo about our department. And what that does is this. You can attack me all day long. I've been in this arena for a long time. But when you talk about that in a Guardian story like that, and for any of the senators or anybody else who's retweeting it, all you got to think about is what veteran may see that and not know the truth? What veteran may be out there who needs our help, who may be on a borderline of taking their own life or not getting the treatment they need, and they see crap like that, and they keep from coming. They need to think about what they're doing before they play politics with my veterans.
Why do you think the VA would be a target? I mean, is it just because everything's politicized?
It's everything's politicized. It's, the president's bad, Collins is bad, oh, you're doing all this, and it just goes back to the protectionism of what we have in our department.
Secretary, thank you for all you're doing.
All right, so good to be with you.
We so appreciate you, VA Secretary Doug Collins. We'll be right back.